I've been trying to record this podcast for the last hour and a half, and every time I go back and listen to whatever I've laid down, I sound angry. So I keep deleting it. And then I realized I'm not angry, I'm hangry. I forgot to eat again. I don't know why. People take a look at me and go, man, you're skinny. I bet you can eat like a horse. And if that's your deductive reasoning, it's going to be a long, hard life for you. Food's irritating. I refuel my truck once a week, but I got to refuel myself 3 times a day. It gets in the way of whatever else I really want to do, and it's expensive too. I mean, I'm not a picky eater, but there's a lot of stuff I don't even want to mess with. I'm not a vegetarian, but I mean, chickens eat out of other chickens' butt. It's a dirty animal. Cow gives me indigestion. Cows make my favorite noise. Of all the animals, I think moo is just hilarious. I love fish, but not all fish. All that farm-raised stuff is garbage. I like salmon, and I like halibut. I don't want to get it out of the freezer. I want it out of the ocean. I'd eat the same thing. If there was something I could put in a bowl and just pour like hot water or milk over it and eat 3 times a day, get it over with, and get on with my day, I'd probably do it. Eat like a horse. I don't eat like a horse. I don't even know how a horse eats. I don't even know what a horse eats. I don't have horses. No, I'm in a great mood too. I finally got Ziggy running. The thing has just about ruined my week. I even got a diesel mechanic out this morning to look at it. Well, he thought he fixed it, but welcome to the club. He fell into the same trap I fell into. Found something that needed fixing, but it wasn't the problem. Here's the thing about working on Ziggy. If we're talking about things that are out of my control, like the weather, the price of eggs, human relationships, women, whatever, no matter how bad it's going or how much I wish it wasn't the way it was, I could still sleep at night, like a teenager, just solidly, no problem. But when there's something that's within my control, pretty much a machine, or a diesel engine in this case, that I can't figure out how to fix. I gotta take melatonin to fall asleep. Just constantly working on the problem, even dreaming of solutions. And I don't mean that like, I guess metaphorically or whatever, like I really wake up with ideas that I dreamed about the night before. I've been told that I have high level of mechanical aptitude. I call bullshit. Mechanical aptitude, genius, and all that kind of stuff. I think it discounts the amount of work that goes into getting to that point, to say that like, I don't know, Elton John's a musical genius. Well, Elton John had a teacher and he probably practices a lot. Is he a genius? Well, I don't know. He's probably pretty damn smart. Maybe he had a natural aptitude for it. I got my first tool set when I was probably about 5 years old, and I don't mean some big plastic clunky imagine you're using tools set. I mean like a saw that cut wood and a hammer that pounded nails and a screwdriver that turned screws, all on a little workbench that fit my knee-high ass. If I had a natural aptitude for it, well, great, but I was definitely sort of coached in that direction, and I took off running. And I like fixing things. I like solving problems. It's one of the few times I'm focused enough not to listen to the bullshit that goes through my head all the time. But in this particular instance, all my plans are hinged on this one problem. And I wish I had a higher level of aptitude or whatever. I'm not calling myself some kind of mechanical genius. Genius is overrated anyways. Paul McCartney couldn't read music. Einstein married his cousin. Everybody's stupid at something. I put so much work and money into prepping for this trip, getting the boat ready, getting all my safety equipment, a whole lot of work that wasn't the motor. This week is when it really sunk in that I can't go anywhere at all if Ziggy isn't running. I can't even bay sail. I can't get out of my slip. I know how to sail out of a slip. You can't sail out of my slip. The channel's about a foot deeper than my boat and about as narrow as a gerbil's pecker. You need a motor that runs, and you need a motor that runs good. I don't have that right now. At least I didn't. So I really applied myself this week, pushed everything else to the wayside, and hunkered down on, believe me, I want to talk about running. I would rather tell you a story about some ultra I did or something I did in Antarctica, or hell, I'd rather talk about work, and I don't like talking about work. I clocked out in the end of August. This podcast is called Sailing Capella, not looking at Capella while I talk about running ultras. Although you're not looking at Capella this week. You're looking at Little Girl. I've been promising that, and I'm finally delivering. I got rid of the other paddleboard. I gave it to my roommate because I needed to kind of narrow my focus a little bit and take some things off my plate so I could do a better job on what I have in front of me and also focus my attention on Ziggy, the diesel motor. I dreamed up this kind of a repair band-aid sort of dilly for the motor. I'll probably maybe do a video on it if I'm 100% certain it works. In a nutshell, I made a self-bleeding bleeder nut at the motor, at the injector pump, so that any air that collects will get caught in a clear bowl. I wasn't sure it would work, and at first it didn't work, but I made a few changes and finally got it going. Unfortunately, Larry wasn't able to fix the motor, but I also couldn't pay him to be there all day working on it because American mechanics are expensive. Worth it. I can't say that he was overpriced. American life is expensive as well. It doesn't mean I got that kind of money. I don't want to have to get a job any sooner than I need to get a job. As good of a mood as I've been in this week, and as mellow and kind of like, I don't want to say determined, but I just feel like I've been putting one foot in front of the other, getting things done. If I can't get one nut loose, I move to the next nut and come back to the thing that's given me a hard time. Well, that's how I ended up back on Ziggy. The motor was really starting to bring me down. All the work and all the planning is for nothing if I can't get that motor running. And I've been told, well, want to make God laugh, make plans. If that's true, then God's a jerk. If I had a friend that laughed at all my plans, I wouldn't be friends with that person. Definitely not if they made me give them 10% of everything I made and worship them. That's just a little excessive. I'm going to make plans. That's how I get things done. That's how I stay on course. Plans change. I'm only good at predicting the past. I'm shit at predicting the future. No big deal. This morning was kind of a breaking point, knowing that Larry probably wasn't going to be able to directly fix it. Getting caught in a downpour. I mean, like flash flood downpour. I'm just like, this wasn't even in the forecast. It was supposed to be like a pretty day, and I get caught with my hatches open, basically my pants down, getting soaked. And then on top of that, somebody stole my dinghy motor. Like, I don't know when. They probably could have stole it while I was working on the boat because I'm so hyper focused on what I'm doing. Well, things can always get worse. There's another shit thing people say, although this time it was true. I was just about to get all poopy pants about the motor getting stolen and Ziggy not running and all this other getting rained on and all this other shit. And I was so in my head, I ran a stop sign, and luckily the person in the Caprice hit the brakes and stopped, or just saw me not stopping. And I thought, actually, that would have been worse. T-boning or getting T-boned because I'm not paying attention would have messed up my truck, probably messed up their car, maybe hurt somebody, and I wouldn't have had a leg to stand on. It would have been 100% my fault, and I would have been beating myself up about the motor getting stolen. That kind of cheered me up. The day didn't get worse. So I went back to the boat, I built my little contraption, tested it. It works. It works. I promise, I'm still going to try to fix this right. I still want to find out how air is getting into the injector pump. I just know it's not coming from outside the engine. But in the meantime, I'm really pleased with my invention. I don't have a lot of confidence about a lot of things. I have a hard time taking compliments. I do know that I'm good at fixing things. I'm good at finding solutions that are kind of out of the box for getting things running. It has a lot to do with my job. Sailing is problem solving, and I feel like it has a lot to do with sailing as well. I really wanted to be able to fix this myself. However I did it, if I was at sea, all I have is what's available to me. Even if this isn't a permanent fix or doesn't really solve the actual problem, this would have got my motor running. This did get my motor running. I'm kind of proud of it. There were some threads on the internet and such that kind of pointed me in that direction, or at least confirmed that I was headed in the right direction. Actually building the thing, testing it, and seeing it work is really encouraging. I've got my kind of positivity back. I don't know when I'm leaving. I'll leave when the boat's ready. I feel like I'm getting closer. I still have to test out the engine more and make sure this is an acceptable solution. I have my pack pile. I have all my safety gear. I have a few more things coming on Amazon. I have a few more coats of varnish to put on Little Girl and some finishing touches. It's wrapping up in an acceptable amount of time. I'd like to say that I'm not in a hurry. My perspective, I want to have some time to enjoy sailing, enjoy my boat. There's things I want to do when I get to where I'm going that I've planned on doing. I'd like to have the time to do those things. And I'll talk more about that. Well, maybe I'll talk more about that right now. Like, I want to take an immersive Spanish course that lasts about a month. I want to go visit a friend of mine and potentially have time to take an entry-level freediving course. Those are plans. So we'll see what really plays out. I'm setting my expectations at nothing. Anything that does happen will be a surprise. I don't want to leave so close to having to go back to work that I'm stressed out about finding a haul out for the boat. I have to find something to do with Capella before I go back to work. Put her on the hard, something of that nature. I have work to do on her this summer, either while I'm gone or when I get back. She needs a bottom job. She needs a cutlass bearing. What the hell's that thing called? She needs the stuffing box repacked. Sooner or later, she needs a permanent fix on the motor, not my little kipper rigged invention. I see something that I can live with to really get the ball moving. I have a really positive outlook on the whole thing. I was getting to the point where I was thinking, I'm going to have to actually stop making this podcast. Like, I'm running out of things to talk about. I can't get on here every week with negativity about a diesel engine or just keep telling stories about the past, running, traveling, blah, 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 because I can't get my motor running. Sooner or later, I was going to have to fix it. Even if my plans got canceled this winter and the boat had to be hauled out here while I go back to work, well, where does that leave me when I get off work in next September? It leaves me coming back here with the same set of problems, only full of a lot more angst or anxiety, because I will think I failed. I should not think that way, but I will think that way. I don't usually have a problem admitting to changing my mind or some kind of failure or something like that, but this would have bothered me. This was bothering me. I know I have a little more testing to do before I'm certain that I've fixed it. I feel good about it. I think this is a good pacifier. I think I'm on the right track. I hope I don't tune back in next Sunday with the complete opposite for news. I hope my insurance will cover the motor getting stolen off my boat. I hope I find another motor before I leave. I hope I learn my lesson and quit leaving the motor where it can be stolen. I guess that's my stupid tax for, being trusting. The truth is, I would rather go the rest of my life being a trusting person who continually gets screwed and ripped off than becoming a person who enters situations with no trust left in my heart, always waiting to get shit on, waiting to get ripped off, waiting to get cheated on. What's another one? Think of another one. Waiting for the worst to happen. That sounds like a miserable way to live, and I can't live like that. I was at the post office and the people in front of me in line were talking about how bad things are getting, and I wouldn't want to live another 30 years because I don't want to see where the world's headed, and I can't contemplate that. I had to shake off that negative energy when I left. I wanted to say something. I wanted to correct them, adjust their viewpoint. I can send an email from the middle of the ocean. I can get a tooth pulled out and not feel a thing. I can get cancer, potentially have it healed. I think this is an amazing time we live in. I wouldn't want to live any other time. Well, I'll try to cook up some better jokes or something for next time. Thanks for tuning in to Sail and Capella podcast. Hope to see you next week.